Can you believe it? Episode 50. How did this happen? I don't know, but it did. And to celebrate, today we are going to have a tour of everything we've built in this world so far. Some of you may have been watching from the start, and for some of you, this may be the first video of mine that you've seen. But either way, you're going to enjoy this one. We are going to have a look at everything we've built so far, all the buildings, all the crazy farms, everything we've got going on. I've been playing in this world for over 1.5 years and over 4,000 days in game time. Although some of that was AFK, but however you look at it, we have spent a lot of time in this world and completed quite a few big projects. Before I started this series, I played Minecraft very differently. I was really into building big farms and big storage systems and all of the technical stuff, and I very rarely took the time to pretty things up. If I did, I usually copied other people's builds. But when I started this world, I wanted to make a good impression for my first ever YouTube series, and I decided to focus a lot more on building. I have built a lot of farms as well, but tried my best to make them look good and incorporate them into the world that makes sense. Or if not, I definitely will do at some point. I'm trying to strike a balance between form and function to create an epic world that I will enjoy playing in for a very long time. And I really hope I can make this interesting and hope you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy creating it. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Where I'm stood now is the world spawn. So when I first started this world over 1.5 years ago, this is where I spawned, right in this general area. So I decided I wanted to build a village at spawn, and the seed I chose was a quad witch hut that was just at spawn. So once we get over there, we'll have a look at that, but there's 4 witch huts that we've turned into witch farms. So as I said, I'm trying to strike a balance between form and function, and this is my way of doing that. Basically having a pretty starter base and a crazy technical farm just next to it. The more observant of you will notice I am in creative mode, so we should probably just talk about that first. Now, this is a copy of my world. I always play in survival on hard mode and never go into creative for any reason whatsoever. This is just a copy of the world, so we can move about, we can go into spectator mode and look underground and see a few things that probably haven't seen for a very long time. Okay, so starting from the beginning, this house here, this is my starter house. So first thing I built in episode 1 was this thing right here. Before I did any mining, I got all the resources for this with stone tools, and yeah, I still love this thing and I still use it a little bit. All this was done on the first day. We've got all these farms in, and even the lanterns as well. This is what I did my first iron. I needed a bucket to get the water over here, and then the lanterns, you need iron nuggets and torches. So this is what I did my first iron, and I still insist that that is definitely a thing. When you get your first 3 iron ingots in a Minecraft world, always craft a bucket, not your pickaxe, always a bucket. So let's go in here, and this is the cozy interior. So I tried to cram in as much storage as I could, but just varying things up so it all looks a little bit different. But as you can see, I still have some things in here, some mob drops in there, and I always forget these are in here actually, but yeah, that's where they are. Saplings and all my starter tools that probably been sat in there for well over a year. And then my first little super smelter. Yep, I know, I didn't even rig these up with hoppers. This is all just completely manual. And then through here, this is where I had my main storage. So I had 9 double chests in here, and I was amazed that I got that into a starter house. But now, that's just a bed that I never, ever sleep in. I don't think I've ever slept in this bed, so I don't know why it's there. But you never know, I might use it one day. Okay, and then going upstairs, we have a little desk looking out onto the quad witches. And then we've got water bottles in here, because this was actually my main brewing section at one point. I have moved all that now though, and then in here, this is from episode 3. Now, I normally have a terrible memory for these things, but this is what I got. In episode 3, when I went on an adventure and had a look around the world, this is what I came back with. Now, these probably not, these are probably from villages, but these books and saddles and horse armor, this is what I got. And then through here, this is the last section of the starter house, and what this used to be was a bed. So this was added later on. And I had my bed here, and there was a complete wall here, and I think there's a window there as well. And this was just my bedroom, and this is where I slept all the time, actually. I definitely did use that one. So once the bed got moved downstairs, that's when it stopped getting used. So that was the starter house. That was episode 1. Now, I'm not going to do all of this village in chronological order, because I didn't do it all at the start, to be honest. I did leave this area quite a few times, and then come back and finish things off. But I just wanted to do the first 2 buildings in order. So this was the first one. And then after that, we moved over to this barn. And this is probably the most requested thing for me to do a tutorial for. I do have one for the starter house, but I've never done one for this barn. I do sometimes wonder if there's still interest in me doing a tutorial for this, but I still do keep getting asked for it, so there must be. And you know what? it's been too long. I will definitely get that done very, very soon. So, let's have a quick look in here. And just to be clear, this is the second thing I built in this world. And again, I did all this with stone tools. All of this wood was chopped down with stone tools. And you can still see there's the pod hole from where I planted the big spruce trees. This was a lot of work. And I was just proving it to myself that you can build big things. You don't have to go mining. You don't have to get diamonds straight away. You can just jump straight into the building and build some cool things without having to do all that grind straight away. So, the idea behind this building was I wanted somewhere for my sheep, cows, pigs and chickens. And what I decided to do was build 6 pens. Now, some of them not in use, but I used the smaller ones for the chickens, partly because, you know, chickens are small and I'm in creative mode, so that's why I'm not getting rid of that. And the pigs at the other end. I put the pigs in here because I didn't really need a lot of pigs. But for the sheep and the cows, I needed a lot of those. So I put some big, like, fenced in areas around the back. And I just let them spread out. More important for the sheep, really. Especially when you have a crazy amount like this. They need a lot of grass and for that to be able to spread. And the cows, you know, to get the enchanting area going, this was definitely necessary. So that was the basic idea behind this building. Very simple thing. It's something we all do very early on, get the animals going, but there's no harm in having it in a cool building as well. And up here, we also have 2 sheep. This was very strange. This happened very recently, actually. 2 of them got out of here while I was doing some shearing, and they climbed this ladder, and whatever I do, I can't get them down. And I don't want to hurt them, so they're alright, they're not doing any harm, leave them to it. And then after we built this, we got a few little decorative things done around the front. This little pond with some vegetation around the edges of it, and just some really basic little wheat farms. But I just love doing little details like this. Think it really adds a lot to the build. And then this slightly bigger wheat field around the back, which I definitely need to finish off. I think I need to take it into here. But yeah, that looks pretty cool. So after that, the next thing that we did was build this wall all the way around here. It may look like I had a grand plan, but I didn't. I just went for it with this wall, and I really like how this turned out. It was just palisade wall, standard thing, but what I did slightly differently was just pile a load of cobblestone and andesite in front of it. Because remember, this was still early on. It's before I had silk touch, so there was no stone in here really. And I did come back later on and put a little bit of stone in, but it's mainly cobblestone and andesite just to have that early game feel. Piling this up all the way around, really, really effective. Now, I think there are some areas that are a little bit rougher, but some of them look alright. And then just where we're in the swamp, I added a little bit of the mossy in, as that makes a lot of sense where it's in the water areas. And we just carried this on all the way around the village. And as I said, there was no grand plan for what was going on inside, but I just thought I'd leave myself enough room to have something cool going on the inside. Okay, so back at the start, this is my blacksmith. The idea behind this was to have a super smelter, but not just a load of furnaces that I normally call a super smelter. I meant an actual proper one, but I didn't actually get around to it. The idea was to have one underground and have input chests at the top. So I'd have one for fuel and then one for whatever I was cooking, and then we'd have an output chest somewhere. But I didn't get around to doing that. I just did this standard thing with the hoppers going into the furnaces, and this actually served me very well for quite a while. I have built a super smelter somewhere else, and we will have a look at that later, but this did actually do quite well for a long time. And then here, we've got the blast furnace that's going into this little chimney area. And then just for decoration, in here, this is actually my first set of iron armor. This is the first set of iron armor I crafted, and luckily I never lost it. And this here is actually my first decent pickaxe that I use, and I can't even remember what's on this, but I don't play in creative mode very often, but I know enough to not try and grab this while I'm in creative, because if I did that in creative, it would just disappear. So let's see what we've got here. What's that? Efficiency 4, Unbreaking 3, Fortune 3, not too shabby. And as you can see, it's nearly 1 out. That was very well used, I think. Okay, so that is the blacksmith. And you know what? I think that's a pretty good build. Very happy with that one. And then coming around here, we've got this bridge coming across on the starter house. And this goes into what was, and still definitely is, my main storage area. So, it's not very big, but you know what? I've been using it for such a long time. I love how simple it is, and everything is just within reach. Now, I may be outgrowing it fairly soon, but for now, it's definitely serving me well. And the main reason that this has lasted so long is I use an excessive amount of shulker boxes. So if you're just looking here, like all of these are full of stone, and then I do a similar thing over here with the dirt. I did have a lot more of this actually, but I've used a lot. And then, yeah, so a lot of it is in shulker boxes. Got a few here, the terracotta as well. So imagine if I didn't have those shulker boxes, I would need a way bigger storage area than this. But using the shulker boxes, it means you can use the smaller starter areas like this much, much longer. So that is what I'm doing. But as I say, when I get some more bigger builds done, I will probably upgrade this at some point. And then up here, this is the stuff I tend to use a little bit less. And what we've got in here, I think these are the books that I got from when I had an AFK fishing farm, which they don't work anymore, but I did start this world in Minecraft version 1.15.2. So that was the Buzzy Bees update, and the AFK fish farms were nerfed in 1.16. So at that point, they were still available, and I made sure I got plenty of stuff out of that. So then in here, I think this is just like stuff to be sorted. Yeah, this is all stuff that I got from like end runs. Oh yeah, I did have a dual spawner, so it was a skeleton and cave spider spawner, and that was down not far from here actually, but when I did the perimeter for my quad witch up farm, it was in the way, and unfortunately it got destroyed. And then this is where I put all my brewing stuff now. Not very advanced, still very manual, but you know what, it does the job, and I've got everything I need. And then coming out this door, this is the bridge that goes back into the starter house. So I just wanted this little balcony around here just to break up the build a little bit, and I think that's pretty cool. So then come down here, if we go through this back section here, this goes into the stables. I did have a plan very early on of not getting an elytra too quickly. I wanted to use horses for as long as I could, and you know what, it didn't last very long. Once I got the horse in and I got the stables, I got an elytra not long after that, and yeah, that's it. Once you got an elytra, you're not going to use horses, are you? Although that might be changing in 1.18. The elytra is going to be used slightly differently, so we'll see how that works. But for now, he's loving it in there. He's got a nice place, and he's got all the hay he can eat, so it's good. And then at the front section of this, we've got the main gatehouse. So we've got 2 towers either side, and then like a defensive bridge along the front. And it's not too well fortified. This village isn't about defense. It's more of a trading area, really. And we will get onto all of that. Trade is a big theme in this world, or it is going to be once I get all my plans going. But I just want to have a look around here, because this is a little bit more of the terraforming I did. This area I didn't really do much with for a very, very long time. But much more recently, I finished it all off, and this now looks way better than all of the other side. So this area was really, really rough, but I got all the stone piled up around the outside, tons of leaves, and it just looks really cool now. Really like this bit. So back in here near the stables, we've got what I think of as the main feature of this village, and this is my honey farm. So if we go into here, we've got the honey warehouse, and we've got all the blocks in here, and obviously this is decorative. This is not where I get my honey blocks from, but then I do have things stored in here. So I've got my honey blocks in this one, and the honeycomb block in there. And if you just come around here, this is where the automated honey farm is. So I've got an absolute ton of bees in there, all the way along here, and there's none in there. Don't know what's happened there. And all this is completely automated, and all the drops come out of here and they go up this item elevator and into a storage area just up here. So this is probably quite full. Yeah, they've got 2 chests there, and there is a lot of space down here. I did intend to actually have this much bigger, but I do tend to craft these quite regularly, and I put them in these chests here as well. I always intend to take them down to that storage area around there, but I always forget. I always come up here, to be honest. And then the idea with this is that this is like the production area, like the factory, and then we can go through to a storage area over here, and then we have like a crane that is bringing everything down and then storing everything in these shelves at the sides. So that is pretty much it for the village. The last thing I actually did was build these houses over here, and these are purely decorative. I just had a massive amount of space, and I had some crazy map on the floor which served no purpose whatsoever, so I got rid of that. I built my nether portal down here in this little cave, and then we built these few buildings on top. Now I did do some of the interiors, not down here obviously, but then coming up here I did a little bit. So it's just a little bit of a bedroom with some storage, but not in use, so if I ever get any visitors, you know, they can stay in here. And then up here, I have an office with a little bit of a map. So this probably needs updating actually, but this is the village where we are now. And then this is the farmland that we've got going to the east, and then the docks there. But we're going to look at these later, because this is all part of the grand plan that I've got for the world going forward. And then aside from this big building, we have a couple more around the back here. And these do have, well, this one has an interior. So I set this up with a big chimney at the back, and then we've got the smokers in the front. And then we just have a bit of storage, bed, and it's pretty decent. It's not bad. But again, I don't really use this. It's just for decoration. And then coming around here, we have a couple of smaller houses. So these are both the exact same footprint, but then I've turned one round and it's a little bit bigger. So this is all just storage. It's like a little storage shed, but again, not for use. It's just a decorative thing. And then over here, this one, look, same thing, just a little bit taller with a fancier roof. And then in here, I don't believe I didn't, no interior in this one. So may have to do something in here at some point, but that's it in there for now. And I also do have a little bit of space back here. So I will probably put something in here when I get some time. But as far as the starter village goes, that I believe is it. So love this area. It's been something I've been doing since day one, but I keep going back and adding and tweaking things and making things better. And as you can see, there are a few gaps. I do have a few more things that I want to do around here, but you know, we've got a lot more time to get that done, and I definitely will. Okay, so to move on to the next area, we just need to go around the back of the storage building, and down here we have a drop that takes us to the next thing we're going to look at. So let's have a look down here. And this is the sewer that goes under my village. Now, at the moment, it just stops here. And what I actually want to do with this is make it so it goes underneath all of the houses. So I'll probably just have it go straight that way, and then have a few smaller little tunnels that come into this one. And then if we go down to the end of here, this goes into the main sewer that goes all the way across to my quad witch hut perimeter. And I do have a plan of extending this a very, very long way that way, but we haven't got to that yet. And this in here, it really took me by surprise. It's just one of those projects that I did, and I thought, yeah, it's pretty cool, I like it, and I made a video on it. And for some reason, that video is the most popular video in this series. For views, likes, comments, everything. People seem to really, really like this, so I'm really pleased about that. Now, the thing I'm not keen on is this lighting is really excessive. Now, I do need this, or all of this will be spawnable, because these are all full blocks, not slabs. So I need to work on the lighting. But once we get into 1.18, we'll be able to play with the lighting here much more, because at the moment we're trying to keep it above level 7, but all we need to do is keep it above 0 in 1.18 to stop mob spawning. So that is going to be a lot better. Make this real dark and dingy. I really like that. So this goes down to the witch hut perimeter, as I've just said, but it also comes into here. So this is our first lot of random junk chests. We'll see this a lot in every single project. I try not to do this too much, and I try and clear up after myself, but you know, these things happen. I'm sure you all do it. And then this is the killing area for my iron farm. This thing is very, very cool. I like this. So what I've done, I have 4 separate sections, and we'll look at the iron farm in a moment. I have 4 separate spawning pads, and the golems fall down here and into this water. And what I've tried to do is to have them flowing for as long as possible, so they all gather up down here. Now, this doesn't slow down the farm. As long as they're out of range, the golems will keep spawning. And then the idea behind this is, I've left quite a gap here, so they won't just get pushed into that. What will need to happen is, we'll have to have a lot of golems pile up before they actually start dying. So, whenever I come in here, there should always be a similar number of golems to this. So, it's really, really cool. I like coming in here and just watching them all burn and give me all the iron. So, I do have quite a bit in here. And yeah, I need to do a little bit of crafting, but there's no rush for that, because as you can see, I have a shulker box in my ender chest that is full of iron blocks. So yeah, I'm doing alright. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the iron farm, and I will have to go into spectator mode for this, because I'm so trusting of this thing working, I don't actually have a way of getting up there. Okay, so we're in spectator mode. Let's have a fly up through here. Now, if you watch my Ramblecraft series, you'll probably recognise this, because this is the exact same design I used in that series, and it's designed by Nembon. And it's an absolute beast. I can't actually remember off the top of my head how much iron you get from this, but it's a lot. It's a real lot. This water in the corner, it leaves just enough time for the villagers to spawn the golem, and then it'll move on the track on to the next one. There we go. That was just in time, wasn't it? So yeah, nice and simple. It's a great design, and Nembon does have a tutorial for this if you want to check that out. Okay, so after the iron farm, we're going to have a look at what is possibly the biggest thing I've done so far. This is very, very crazy. And this is a quad witch hut perimeter. So this is a 300 by 300 block square, and it's been dug out, not manually, all the way down to bedrock. And we have 4 witch farms, and this is an Ilmango design. So if you just have a quick look at this, it's a shifting floor design, and it's based on a clock and on tripwires. So sometimes they can get stuck in there, so that's why we have the clock, just to give it another shuffle, just to make sure they don't get stuck. And I have 4 of them in here, and it's producing an absolute ton of stuff. Okay, so once they die on these hoppers, the items come out of this dropper, down this tube, and then they go all the way along here, and all 4 of them connect up into the middle. And then we have an item elevator here. It's on top of the soul sand, and this takes them right up here into the storage area. So it goes around this side first, and then we have an item sorter on this side, and this will sort out all the items into one double chest. And obviously that fills up very, very quickly, and it's pretty much always full. And then after that, it'll come here up into this bit, and then this is another item filter, and this goes into a shulker box loader. So if we just go inside, we can have a look at how this looks. And yeah, I have another mess of shulker boxes. This is round 2 of the random storage I need to sort out. Over here, this is just my manual storage. So like glowstone and redstone blocks that I've crafted up, and also redstone torches as well. So that's quite handy when you're like crafting repeaters and comparators and stuff, to have a stock of those already done. So over here, we've got everything that just comes into here. All right, I must have just done redstone recently, and then glowstone. This is all of the witch drops. But beyond a double chest, we don't really need any more sugar and spider eyes. So what I did on this side, it just narrowed it down to these 5. So these are the shulker box loaders. And yeah, we've got a lot of gunpowder. Definitely need to craft up some rockets soon. And then the redstone, yeah, we're doing alright. Glowstone, glass bottles. I probably don't need this many. I probably shouldn't have this one in here, to be honest, but you know what, it does the trick. And then the sticks. I have taken a lot of these out recently because I use this as fuel in my super smelter. So we'll definitely have to have a look at that in a minute. So yeah, that is it. Even though this was an absolutely massive project, there's not that much more to see. It's just the craziness was removing all of the blocks. So I didn't do this by hand. I did the first few layers by hand. If you look over there, where it's all smooth, that is what I dug out by hand. So it's only like the first 5 levels because I wanted the diamonds. I didn't want to blow up the diamonds. And then after that, we used TNT dupers and flying machines to destroy absolutely everything else. And then once that was done, we built the witch farms and storage area, and that was it. But this was an absolutely massive project. It was done over a long, long time. But so pleased I got this done. It's one of those things, one of those projects I've always wanted to do, have a quad witch up perimeter. But now it's done. I'm very pleased. Okay, so up here, this is the storage area I had when I was actually digging everything out and bombing everything. This was way up above the ground. You'll notice these villagers, and that's because when I was digging everything out, I was using these masons and selling them stone, and that's where all the stone went. I kept all the ores and everything precious, but these fellas made sure my pick was completely repaired all of the time. So I didn't actually have to go to another XP farm to repair my pick. So I was digging out, and it took about half an hour for my pick to wear down, and I came up here, sold all the stone I had, and it completely repaired my pick. So that explains what's in this chest. Look at that. All these emeralds have come from trading stone with those masons, from digging this insanity out. So I do have a load of other junk up here I need to get rid of as well. So I say junk, but all of these shulker boxes, they're all full of slime blocks. Because I did, before I did all this, I had 3 slime chunks down here that was constantly producing slime. So I don't actually have a slime farm at the moment because, you know, I'm doing alright for slime. I don't think I'm going to run out anytime soon. And then over here, I believe this is all the other stuff from my fish farm. Yeah, my AFK fish farm. Yeah, and just some random junk. So again, this is all stuff I need to get rid of. Got a load of ores over here. Obsidian, gravel, and what's andesite? Yeah, so I definitely need to get rid of all. Actually, the reason the andesite is there is because none of these masons, funnily enough, actually buy andesite. They buy stone, diorite, and granite in some combination, but none of them buy andesite, so that's why I've got a ton of that. Okay, so I think that is it for the witch huts. Okay, so just before we go to the next big project, we have something that's linked to it, and we're just next to the witch farms here, and this, we're in a flower forest. And what I needed was an absolute ton of light grey dye. So I built this flower farm, the shifting floor design, and this will only produce light grey flowers. And I think actually there's one spot that produces pink, but never mind. So if you just flick this on, see this, this is a very, very simple thing that I came up with, and it's just shifting floor, and then we have an observer just on the side, and then when the floor shifts, it powers this dispenser that has bone meal in it, and it's just as simple as that. And then we usually have plenty of bone meal in here, and then we have minecarts going underneath, picking up all the items, and then chucking them into this water stream. They go over here into an item filter, and then we have the seeds go straight into the composters, and that's how we get a bit more bone meal. And then in here, oh no, actually I switched this around because I need the seeds. But anyway, the light grey flowers normally come into here, and I think we have an overflow one, and that is where the pink flowers go when they very rarely come through. So yeah, that's it, nice and simple, and that's because I needed an absolute ton of light grey dye. Okay, so now we'll go across to the Badlands, and we'll have a look at the project where I used all of that. Okay, so on the way, we'll just have a quick look at what I've got going on in the nether, and it's nothing pretty, but I've never shown this in a video yet because most of the time when I'm in the nether, I have some portals right up at the top, just below the bedrock. I thought it was about time I actually started on doing a proper nether hub. So this is the very, very early beginnings of that, and that's why I haven't shown anything yet. But that one there, that is my starter village portal, and then this is the quad witch hut portal. And then just down here, we have the Badlands portal, I believe. So let's just go through here, and we'll have a look at this crazy project. Okay, so we are now in the Badlands, and this is the famous Blackstone Bridge. This is another one of those projects that I thought was pretty good, but seemed to do very, very well. This was very popular. So this is the first thing I did when I updated the world to 1.16. I built this crazy bridge. So it's all 1.16 stuff. We've got the Blackstone, the basalt, and the warped wood as well, and the shroom lights just under them. And I think this turned out pretty good. Really liked how this looks. And then at either end of that, we've got the massive nether portal. And then at the other end, we have the Blackstone Tower. And the whole purpose behind this thing is to take me up to the portal that goes above the nether bedrock and up to my gold farm. So once we've had a look around here, that'll be the next thing we have a look at. The idea behind this area is that this is a civilization that has completely devastated the landscape by mining for gold. So this is like the original housing, or the start of it anyway. I'm going to build a lot more of this and try and make it look a bit more run down as well. So what I'm trying to do here as well is just have them build with whatever is available in the local area. So we've just got different colours of terracotta and oak wood. So that's what they have around, so that's what they've been using to build. And then because they've overmined everything, we have this area down here that's supposed to be looking like a devastated mine. And you'll see this fog effect. This is about 7 layers of light grey glass. And we've got this crazy fog effect, and when you come up, you can barely see through it. It's so cool. I love doing this. So this is where all that light grey dye went. And the glass, yeah, there's a lot of glass. That is what this building is. This is my super smelter that we were talking about earlier. It's just meant to look like a factory building, and then inside is very nethery. So there's a lot of nether brick. And then we've got the warped wood again. And then we just come around here. You can see this is the super smelter. So we load it up here. And then once these minecarts are full, or once they're the appropriate level, they'll go across here, dump everything into these furnaces. Then everything gets cooked. And this is where all the sticks went that I was talking about earlier. And we still have a ton of lava buckets in there as well. And then once everything's cooked, they'll end up in the furnace. And then we have these minecarts going along below the furnaces, and they take everything out and drop them off at these stations at each end. And then this water stream will take everything back into where the chests are. There's no filtering or sorting on this because I'm cooking lots of different stuff. And then they just go into the back of these where the hoppers are and into the chest. So that's it. Nice and simple, but this is where I cooked all of the glass that we used in that fog area. Okay, so here's round 3 of random junk. Definitely need to get rid of all this. This is from when I dug out all of this. So this is the other half that I need to get done. So I built this bridge and I had all this like basalt growing up it. It's meant to look like stuff had just been brought back from the nether and like spores have dropped everywhere and started growing. But as you can see, it's very unfinished. I haven't even built the other side of this hill, and then we need to do all of the grey glass over this side as well. So we're definitely going to get that done. A lot more housing around the side and some abandoned mines and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely got a lot more to do, but I do really like this area. Okay, so next bit, we need to head up here into this portal. So we'll go down this way, which I never do. This was, for the longest time, it was just a portal floating in the air, and I always used to fly up to it. And that's why I left it open on the sides, because I knew I was going to carry on doing it. And I still do. it. But just in case, for any reason I don't have an elytra. Oh, we've got more random junk in here as well. What's this? Look at all that quartz. I definitely need to grab that. And a ton of glass. I always have tons of glass around this area. So we have this bubble elevator here. And as you can see, it's the magma block, so that'll pull us down. But if we just step on this pressure plate, it switches to the soul sand, and that'll push us up, and it gives us just enough time to get up, and then it'll switch back into the other one. Actually, it gives us plenty of time, doesn't it? Okay, and that brings us up to the portal. But as I say, I never use that. I always fly up here. Okay, so we are now above the nether ceiling, and this is the storage area for my gold farm. Just have a look. Yeah, there's the bedrock. There's a lot going on in here, so let's start with the farm, actually. So I've switched to survival mode, because otherwise I can't go through that portal without going through it. Right, so if you just run up here, this is the killing area for where the piglins fall down. So as you can see, there's an absolute ton of them. This is another crazy design by Nembon, and you know what? I love this thing. This is absolutely brilliant. So I've got honey blocks there, and this will actually stop the piglins from dying. But if we press this button, those will retract, and then it'll just be like in auto kill mode. That's a horrible sound, isn't it? But this, for XP, is absolutely brilliant. This is where I usually come. If I've got a load of tools that need repairing very quickly, I'll come here, and they're just done in seconds. It's absolutely brilliant. And I usually can't kill the piglins fast enough. There's just that many coming in. So yeah, This is where I kill them. So this design by Nembon is absolutely mad. It's so efficient. And then I also built his sorting system as well, because this just having standard hoppers, it just doesn't work. There's this crazy contraption, and I'm not going to explain how it works because, to be honest, I don't fully understand it myself. But basically what happens, these items, they eventually get down here to this slime block and they get pushed across there, and then this is just your standard item sorting system. So I've got, I think this is gold ingots for the first two, quite a few gold nuggets, and I've got a couple for rotten flesh, and then the rest of it all just flies down there. Like, so there's, I think, like the swords and probably all the rotten flesh that, yeah, those will be full now. So they just come down there, and then if you just go back up here, we'll have a look at what happens to the rest of it. And then all of this on top of here is spawn proofed as well. So I've done this with gold pressure plates, basically because I can, because this is an absolutely crazy farm. It produces so much, and I actually built this one before I built my iron farm. So gold tended to be the thing that I use for like redstone circuits, and I also used it for beacon bases and all that stuff. So yeah, gold was something I never had to worry about for quite a while. So yeah, I haven't been AFK or killing a lot of them here for quite a while. So yeah, there's not an absolute ton of gold, but I do have loads of it crafted up somewhere. And then of course with gold, we also need to have the piglins, don't we? So this is my piglin bartering system, and I spent a lot of time on this. Okay, so where do we start with this? Right, we should probably turn it on actually and see how this works. So this lever on the left is the one that actually gives them the gold, and then the one on the right, this is the clock for actually distributing the items. So it turns on both of these item elevators, and it turns on this clock up here that actually sends the item around. So because we can't use water in the nether, this is how we need to do it, because there's an absolutely crazy amount of items come through here, and then it pushes them across into this item filter. So this is the second version of this. The first time I tried doing this, I tried just doing it with hoppers, and they were constantly backed up. So I had to go for something a little bit more advanced. So we've got this clock here, and this is what controls how quickly the gold is sent out to the piglins. And as it happens, 8 repeaters on full delay is the exact amount of time they need to look at the gold and give you the trades from it. And then we just put the gold ingots in here, and then this actually distributes them across into these dispensers. So obviously I need a little bit more in there, but I think that's enough of that clicking, so we'll turn that off for now. But that definitely does the trick. I've got an absolute ton of stuff out of this. We'll turn off the gold first, and we'll leave that one running for a bit, and then that'll make sure the items all go through. But then we can have a look over here at all the stuff got out of this. So gravel, yeah, an absolute ton of gravel. And then we've got nether brick, obsidian. We'll never need this amount of this stuff. It's crazy. Ender pearls, I think these are pretty much full. Yeah, quartz, I've got tons of quartz from this. So yeah, you get some really, really cool stuff from this. So after it goes to the item filters for these, it then goes into another 2 filters. One of them takes out the potions, and then the next one just, I think it just overflows actually. So all the other non-stackables, so I've got the iron boots and the soul speed books. I think that should be it actually. So if we just come through here, so the potions, once they're filtered out, they'll come into this chest, and then they go across this hopper line, and that just goes into, I believe, the first 4 rows of chests here. Let's just double check that's right. Oh, can't see because there's nothing in there yet. Okay, yeah, so that goes into the first 4, and then once those are all full, and all those hoppers are full, it will then go into this chest, which then goes into here, and this is the overflow that'll just throw the items away. So if these items are not potions, they'll go down this hopper line, and then they'll go into this final row of chests. So those are the ones where we saw the soul speed books and the iron boots. And then again, if that backs up, they'll go into this chest and then make their way into here, where they'll again be spat out and just despawn. Okay, so I've got one more thing we can look at. If we just follow these line of torches, this is a very, very simple farm, but it's an absolutely brilliant design. This is a hoglin farm by Raiseworks, and this is basically what I eat all the time. So I think I AFK'd overnight just once, and this was completely full, and all the hoppers were backed up as well. So if we just fly up into the air, into this KFK point up here where this glass is, we'll see all the hoglins. So they run towards the lava, they die in there, and the hoppers will collect everything. That's it. Nice and simple design, but it is so effective and really, really overpowered. Okay, so at this point, I should probably show you another really crazy thing I had to do to get this farm to work. So there is an AFK point right above all of this. It's just that there. But as we saw, even when I was stood there, which is quite low down, they were still spawning at a crazy rate. So to do that, you have to spawn proof everything immediately below the bedrock just here. So if we just jump down there, we'll go into spectator mode and see what I've done. Okay, so if you just go down below the bedrock, buttons, all of this is spawn proof. Now, there are a couple of spots that I've missed, but it's not really that big a deal. We're still getting an absolute ton. And yeah, this is quite a big area. I've had to do an absolute ton of this. The last time I checked, it was 14,000 stone buttons I placed. So yeah, that's quite a lot. This took a very long time, but you know what? It's so worth it. So I can just stand at that killing area and just swipe away at the piglins, and I get an absolute ton of them. Okay, so this is the next bit I want to show. So just down there, that is the portal that we went through to go to the Badlands. And if we just come a bit further down here, I've started expanding this. And down there is the next big project we're going to look at. But before we look at that, I just want to look at something else that is down here. So just following this down here, this nice open tunnel that I always get gas shooting at me. But you'll see over here, we have a nether fortress. And unfortunately, this is the closest one that I have to me. But I have been digging a lot of this out, and I've been placing this platform down here. And this is the lowest level where wither skeletons will spawn. But we get an absolute ton of spawns down here, and this is where I got all my wither skeleton skulls for the crazy amount of beacons I've got. So let's see if we see anything spawn. You usually get quite a few. But because I'm recording and showing how good it is, there's nothing. No, we're not playing ball. Alright, whatever. But anyway, this is an ongoing epic project that I do still have a lot to do. I want to remove all of this nether fortress and a lot of the spawning spaces above. You can see a lot of this has been dug out. And yeah, there's a lot more to do. But that's just one of them things that I get on with between episodes every now and then when I have time. And hopefully one day I'll get this done. And again, hopefully it'll be before Mojang remove this feature. I say feature, it is actually considered a bug that will spawn down here. They're only supposed to spawn in like these areas like this, like the crossroads and the small little rooms. They're not supposed to spawn in the whole bounding box, but they do, and it's something that everyone takes advantage of. There we go. So yeah, this is an absolutely massive thing, and I will get it done, but you know what? Seeing me dig out massive parts of the nether, not that interesting. So I do tend to do it when I have a bit of spare time. Okay. Let's go have a look at the last crazy project for today. Okay, so we're now over at the crazy guardian farm. I have two levers in front of me. One of them turns a collection system on, and one of them turns a farm on. So I'm just going to get both of these running, and then we can see this thing in action. Okay, so this farm is now running. As you can see, it is absolutely crazy. We have all these spawning pads at the top, and the guardians are just spawning up there, falling straight down onto this carpet at the bottom. And then under there, we have an absolute ton of minecarts going back and forth, collecting all the drops, and then sending them into this water stream at the end. So if we just switch into spectator mode, it'll be much easier to have a look around on there. The only thing is, we won't see anything spawning. So what I'll do now, I'll turn this off, and then we can have a look around in spectator mode. Okay, so these are all shut off now, and the way this works is that lever controls all of these pistons. Actually, we should probably have a look at that. So this lever is wired up to this redstone just back here, and it goes along here, and then all it does is controls this massive slime block pillar that pushes this redstone onto this piston, and then that just repeats all the way up here until we get to the redstone. So when that lever is on, it turns all these pistons on, which block off all of the water so nothing can spawn in there. So then when we turn that lever on, all the pistons retract, and then all the water comes down, and the guardians can spawn. So then down here, the other lever is just wired up directly with this redstone to all these repeaters along here, and this turns on all of these minecart rails at the end. So if you just have a look at these blocks, we've got normal rails here and then powered rails next to them. So these ones are normally off by default, but then we can turn them on with that lever up there. So these minecarts go back and forth, and they drop everything off into this water stream at the end. Everything comes along here, and then we've got an item elevator at the end. Let's just follow this around, actually, it's quite interesting. And then where's it go? Yeah, it goes across here first. And then this is just a standard item filter. And all we've got here is the normal prismarine shards. And then I haven't set the other ones up yet. So it's just the prismarine shards. But because we have so many of them coming in, they still come round this way. And then we have this collection system here. It bypasses this one the first time round and comes round here. And then this one is actually looking for fish. So these minecarts, these act as item filters as well. So once these are full, they send them across into these furnaces, and these are automatically cooked. So down here I have an absolute ton of cooked cod. I didn't realise this was full already. Nice. And then the items come back around this way, and then they go across a similar item filter. And these minecarts here are set up for prismarine crystals and prismarine shards. So these are sent down here, and this is my automatic crafting system. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so this crafting system comes from a tutorial by Techman88, and this thing is absolutely genius. It's so simple, but it works so well. What we want is to get the exact amount of items we need to craft sea lanterns. So if you don't know the recipe for that, we need 5 prismarine crystals, and in the corners 4 prismarine shards. We have this lever here, and this controls this piston that pushes an observer over here and gives us a real fast clock. So every time this pulses, something that's in these dispensers just here will get spat down there into the water stream and then come up this item elevator just here. So the trick to this working, so we get the exact amount of items that we need, is the number of chests that we have on each side. So on the side where we have the prismarine shards, we have 8 chests, and then the side where we have the crystals, we have 10 chests. So that's the exact same ratio. So every time that this clock pulses, we're going to get the exact amount we need to craft 2 sea lanterns. Let's just give this a go, and I'll prove that this works properly. So we'll just turn this on, and we'll get a loud racket, a lot of noise, and then the items start coming up. So we'll just leave this going for a little bit, and as you can see, the items come in really, really fast. So if we just turn this off, you should get a few more coming through, and then if we just go into here and craft these, we should end up with nothing else in our inventory after we've done this. So there we go, we got the exact amount we need to do almost a stack and a half just from that very small thing there. So I do have another one for dark prismarine on this side, and that recipe is 1 black ink and 8 prismarine shards. And that again works very well because we have 8 chests on this side, and then we have 1 chest here that is also controlled by this lever, and that will give us the 1 black ink. The problem is, I don't actually have any black ink in there at the moment, so I can't test that, unfortunately. Okay, so what I normally do when I come up here, I just dump all my stuff in here, and that's what I've done here, and I'm in survival mode just to make the crafting thing easier. This is where I store my sea lanterns, and this is just manual at the moment, but as you saw, I do have filters on the back of there, so I could set one up for sea lanterns and have them go through this system, but, you know what, it's easy enough to just bring them over here once I've crafted, and then this is the first lot of prismarine shards that come into here, so I can use these for crafting the other prismarine bricks and prismarine blocks. And then down at this end, similar setup, but this is just where the fish goes. So this setup isn't as elegant as the other one at the moment. I still need to sort this out. I need to have these sent into an item stream somewhere and maybe filtered out. And I do have some chests out here actually that I don't use for anything. I'll probably set something up so the fish get sent over to here at some point, but you know what, for now, that's alright. This system is definitely what makes this storage area so great for me. I really like being able to do this because crafting sea lanterns when you don't have something like this can be a real pain. So definitely very pleased that I got this done. Okay, so we're back over at the village now, and I just wanted to talk about the main idea that I have for this world that is going to see me into many, many years to come. And what that is I really want to have a massive civilization spread out across the world, living in lots of little different villages, and there be a main place that they can all go to trade what they're producing. I just think it's a great way to have lots of little designs all over the world, lots of big crazy villages, maybe a big city, and just lots of stuff going on and lots of activity. So what I've decided to do in that regard is that every village that I build is going to have a main resource that they export. So with this world starting in Minecraft 1.15, which was the Buzzy Bees update, the obvious first choice is honey. So that's what I've decided to do from this one. So this village is going to be a massive honey exporter. So that is what we've got down here. We've got a dock area that's got loads of honey ready to be exported. And then we've got this narrow boat here that all the honey is piled on, ready to be sent along down the river. And then this river is going to go all the way through the world, all the way to the last village that I'm going to have, and that is where my end portal is, and it is about 2,000 blocks from where I am now. And then running almost parallel with the river is going to be this road. So the road I'm going to build is going to look fairly rustic like this in most places, and definitely initially once I first get it done. But then at certain points, when it's around towns and cities, it'll be a bit more built up and it'll just change as we go over the world, and there's going to be lots of different things to see. Okay, so before we pass through here and look at some of the other little bits down there, I should probably mention this area because this was a massive project as well. This is custom farmland that's just next to this village, but the farmland itself is not the really interesting bit. All of this is custom terrain. So just jumping back into spectator mode again, what we can do is go down here. So there is a bit of a clue with this grass being a different colour because this is where the original river went. If we just go down here, we can see it going around here. But I didn't like that. I didn't like that river. So I built all this land up. There's absolutely tons of terraforming going all the way along here. And then this river that we've got down here, this was actually just a hill originally. So what I've done is I've redirected the river along this way, and this is all custom terrain down here. I was really proud of this one, really likes how this looks. And then we've got this little medieval looking bridge going over it, and then it just carries on down here, and then it goes back into a little river that's down here, and that is going to extend all the way across the world. Okay, so back over at this bit, this again is all custom terrain. This is all being built up, all by hand, 2 blocks deep with dirt and tons of grass spread across it. And yeah, this is massive, and as you can see from this side, not complete yet, got an absolute ton more to do, and this is going to go quite far back. But what I'm doing here, this is the road that's going through it, but on this side, I'm going to have a hobbit area. So we've got the first hobbit hole done, but there's going to be a few more around here as well. So like this one, very much influenced by Bag End, this one with the green door and even the layout of the garden in front. So yeah, really like this, very cool. And then we do have 4 villages that were actually stuck in a well for over a year. I'm not exaggerating, it was a year in real life they were stuck in a well down here. So I moved them in here, and they're all named appropriately. We've got Pippin, Frodo, Sam, and Merry. So that is the hobbit area so far. Lots of custom hills and a pretty cool looking hobbit hole. And then we've got the road extending down here, and then this, I have literally just in the last episode started doing this. So the river is being marked out with wool blocks going into the existing rivers and then carving back into the land, and then the road goes a few hundred blocks that way already, but we're definitely not there yet. And then you'll see up here there's a little path, and this goes to my 1.17 area, and this is also a fairly recent addition, so there's not an absolute ton to see down here, but if we just come down we'll have a look. Okay, so we'll just go back into creative mode so we can get some mob spawning, and this is just some very temporary storage that I've been using to dump all the stone from digging all these areas out. So what I've got here is a dual spawner. So we have zombies and skeletons, because the original skeleton spawner I had was actually destroyed when the Code of Witch Hunt perimeter was created. So now I do have another one, and then we have these zombies. Now, why have I bothered with a zombie spawner? Well, that's because we are in 1.17, and we have this trap that turns them into drowns, and drowns drop copper. So this is where I'm getting a decent amount of copper from. So if you just come through here, we swipe at this lot, and we should get a little bit of copper. So I've got 3 already. Now, the advantage of this farm is that you can actually do this AFK, but you need to have Thorns armor on, and I never have Thorns on my armor, so I will get that done at some point, and then we can start using this AFK. And then over here, we have the skeleton spawner. So again, a lot of storage needs sorting out, but you know what? It's a pretty good start. And the great thing about these spawners as well is that they are very close to a geode. So if we just go up this little staircase here, which I definitely need to sort out, we have a pretty decent geode here, and I've mined all of this out. So I can now just mine these. I tend to use a fortune pick most of the time, but just as an example. And then this is the top of the drown farm. So the zombies get sent up here, held under this trapdoor for just long enough to be turned into drowns, or very close anyway, and then they will finish turning in this spot. And then this clock will again let them down here, and then they'll drop down to the bottom where there'll be one hit, and then I can kill them and get the copper. So this is a design by Razorworks, which is, and it's an absolutely brilliant design, so easy to build, definitely worth checking that one out. And I've decided not to automate the amethyst because it's just more trouble than it's worth, to be honest. If you go through here with a fortune pick when these are all fully grown, you get an absolute ton. And it's really just not worth it with it, because you're only going to get one from one of these when you hit them with a piston or slime blocks or whatever you use to automate it. But doing it with a fortune pick, you get an absolute ton. And then up here as well, I started digging all this out. It's quite a big area around this beacon, and this is because this is the best level to get copper at. So I've been mining here, and I've got a fair bit. So in combination with the zombie spawner, definitely doing alright for copper at the moment. But that is it for the 1.17 area. Not a lot going on at the moment, but we will get a lot more around here, and it'll definitely look a lot prettier eventually as well. Okay, so just coming back to the road and the river, I probably should explain that this is also going to be one of the new villages or towns, depending on how big I decide to go. And this is going to be the 1.17 area exporting kind of thing, and this will probably be exporting copper and or amethyst, because those are the two that I'm producing so far. But you know, there's other things we could do, moss or something like that, maybe bone meal. We'll have some other crazy design around here, lots of like trade based builds, just like we've got over there. Like we'll have a dock down here, and add like lots of carts that can go out onto the road and send their stuff wherever we're going into the city to trade. And then we'll probably do something similar at the Hobbit area as well. I don't know what they're going to be exporting, maybe like farm stuff, but I don't know, we'll come up with something, but we're definitely going to have something with whatever we build that they're all going to be involved with the trade. Okay, so the last stop on the list, this is the zombie village that is just next to where my end portal is. So this pillar here represents the drop, and this just goes down to where my end portal is, so we'll have a look at that in a moment. But then this village, I am going to transform into something that looks like it's from the end. So we'll probably do like an overworld version of the end cities, like the pepper and the end stone and that kind of stuff. But maybe do something a little bit crazier. So that's going to be a very fun project, but something for the future. These will also be involved in the trade, and they will be exporting along the road or the river that is going to come to here, and then it'll go to the main city where they'll do all of the trading. Not a lot to see around here yet, and unfortunately it's the same down here as well. We don't really have anything going on in the end. Killed the Ender Dragon just once, I think. I don't think we've done any more than that, so might as well go through and have a look. I don't think there's much in there. Okay, yeah, so no, there's no Enderman farm yet, which is definitely something really crazy. Since how long I've been in this world, definitely should have had that done by now. So we will get that done at some point. And yeah, we've got one end portal, and that's it. So yeah. Killed the Ender Dragon once and done a bit of end raiding, but no, not a lot going on in the end yet. I'd definitely like to do something cool around here. We'll kill the dragon a few more times to get all of the end portals open, and then once we've done that, we can actually do some building in the end, which I've never really done before. That should be interesting as well. But that is everything I've done so far, and I feel like there should be more. But when you look at it only one, it's not a bad effort for 18 months, is it? I'm happy anyway. So I have done a lot, but I honestly feel like I am just getting started. Thank you for watching this episode. I really do appreciate joining me for this one. And if you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.